I solemnly swear that I am up to no good.
Are you ready to see the best Hogwarts diorama you've ever seen? I printed out, painted, weathered, modified, and made a diorama for my Hogwarts castle, and I think you're really going to be amazed, so let's take a look. Let the magic begin. I found this 3D print file for Hogwarts Castle. It was simple, all in one piece, easy to use. We started printing the castle. You can print it all as one piece if you want. I wanted my castle to be huge, so I printed it in 5 large pieces and then glued them together. Hogwarts Castle is the most iconic part of Harry Potter to me. I've drawn Hogwarts Castle tons of times. I've walked around it a billion times, flown around it a billion times in Hogwarts Legacy. I have it as wallpapers and things like that on my devices. I've known for forever that I need to have a Hogwarts Castle that I physically own and can turn around and admire from every angle. So this project is a dream come true for me to print and make a diorama of my own Hogwarts Castle. So the 3D printing is completed. This is the Hogwarts Castle all put together. Even without a drop of paint, I think it looks amazing. A lot of detail comes out on the print that you couldn't see in the 3D print file when you're zooming in. Then I started painting the castle myself. I started with a dark wash, which is when you take acrylic paints and you water them down with a little bit of water and you put it on the castle and then you kind of wipe off the excess. So that way the watered down paint only kind of accumulates in the small crevices. If you think of a real life building, the wind blows dust on it, then the rain washes it down into the nooks and crannies of the building. So dark wash mimics that. Because it's watered down, it runs into the deeper areas, then you wipe off any excess. I did a base coat for the roofs of Hogwarts with this dark green color. It looks too dark right now, but that's on purpose. It's all about layers for making things look realistic. You start with the dark layer, and then you do dry brushes of lighter colors. Doing the base coat of the roofs was the most time-consuming part of the build because I was really concerned with making sure I didn't accidentally get the dark green on a part that was supposed to be tan. But when it's all said and done, with all the weathering that you do with the multiple layers, the lines get a little bit blurred and it's a little bit more forgiving of the overlap. So I wish I could go back in time and tell my previous self that you don't need to sweat so much when you're doing the base layer. You can forgive yourself if you nick a part of the castle that's supposed to be tan. It'll be okay. After the base coat, you do a dry brush of a lighter color, and once that dries, you do an even lighter color as an even lighter dry brush to help bring out all of the raised surfaces, make them really pop out. I mixed up a more yellowish, brownish green color for the moss and lichen that's growing all over the castle. And this is really crucial to bring the castle alive, make it feel old and aged and lived in, not something that was just built, a couple years ago, but something that has stood the test of time for decades and decades. And it really brings the castle to life. I started making modifications to make this into a Hogwarts diorama. Wherever there needed to be grass and like the courtyards and stuff, I put down a little bit of glue and some green sand that I later painted to be even more green and natural looking. The column under this bridge failed, so I had to make one out of clay, and I had some air dry clay and I smoothed it all out to be the shape of that pillar that had been missing. The print file that I used had a tiny little turret where there was supposed to be a large tower for the Quidditch Training Grounds tower. So I just took that off and I duplicated one of the similar towers. Luckily the tower is really similar to the bell tower, so I just duplicated that, printed it out, and put it on there. In my print it came out as a normal bridge, but this bridge is actually supposed to be a suspension bridge in the real Hogwarts. So luckily I found another Hogwarts 3D print file, and so I just selected the suspension cables of the bridge and printed them out separately. There's supposed to be an archway here on the quad, so I couldn't live without it. I thought I could ignore it, but it bugged me enough, so I grabbed a Dremel tool, made a little hole, covered up the ugly seams with cardboard, and painted it up to look like that archway that was missing. This print of the castle has the defense against the dark arts tower standing next to the astronomy tower. That doesn't make sense though, because the astronomy tower is the defense against the dark arts tower. They just moved it over for the 6th movie, turned it around, made it a little bit bigger and fancier looking, so that way it would be fitting for Dumbledore and Snape's scene in that film. So it doesn't make sense to have them both next to each other, so I cut one of them down. The file that I used for the 3D print had these geometric kind of rocks, but I wanted them to look more like realistic looking rocks underneath Hogwarts Castle. I put down some wood glue and then some air dried clay on top of that, and I textured it with a crumbled up piece of aluminum foil to give it that rocky texture, and then went over it with the dark base and then the gray dry brush on top of that to make it look like realistic rocks. Are you ready to see the final Hogwarts diorama? Welcome to Hogwarts.
Revelio.
Mischief managed.